Hey, howdy, hey, and welcome to Trace Blancos, the show where three white guys talk with Mexican accents.
No.
Hola.
No. Hola?
That was... You know these...
What are we talking about this week, Josh?
We got so much to talk about. We got a lot on our hearts and minds and other parts of our body. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. I think we're going to have a few rabbit trails for sure.
Yeah, good. I hope you're in for a wild ride. Luca, something exciting happened to you this week.
Well, last night, I was about to go to sleep. It was about 12 o'clock.
Is this another dream?
And then my baby sister, she just heard like a cough from her room. And I was like, well, I better go see if she's okay before I go to sleep. And I opened the door and there's puke everywhere.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she threw up all over the place.
Oh, poor kiddo.
All over herself.
In the crib and everything?
Yeah, and the thing was, she didn't look upset about it. She was just confused.
Yeah.
She's like, what?
Most of that stuff goes in, not out. You know, when you're a kid, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on.
She could not figure it out. So we all woke up, cleaned her up, and it was fine. But yeah, that was interesting.
You got to pressure wash.
Terrible.
Yeah, I was going to say pressure wash the bedroom. And
yeah,
everything.
it smelled so bad.
Yeah.
And there was so much. I don't know how she fit all that inside of her.
There's a lot in that little kid, yeah.
It's amazing.
Now,
really.
Did it just stay with one? You didn't have another session of puke?
What? Oh, yeah. No, there was only one session.
Good. That's good. When you get the multiple puke, man, that's... Yeah.
Multi-puke syndrome.
Did you ever see The Exorcist? You know, where that lady's head spins around and she just throws up? That's pretty much what happens with kids.
I do not watch
The
scary
Exorcist
movies.
Really?
No.
Okay, neither do I.
There's
can't
thrillers.
handle them.
I will watch thrillers.
Okay, give me an example. For instance,
I think the most intense thriller I've ever watched is Shutter Island. And that was one of those movies where I saw the commercials, and I did not want to watch that movie.
This is a new movie? Because I haven't seen this.
No, it's pretty old.
Pretty old.
So in the trailer, it has like this lady, and she's like bald, but like strands of hair. It just looks gross, and she kind of does like a turn. Like,
like the ring lady.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought it was going to be like horror.
Yeah.
But then it turned out to just be like a mind-boggling thriller.
Oh, that's
which I
cool.
think is an actual genre. Mind-boggling thriller. I don't know. Probably.
Psychological thriller.
Psychological thriller. There you go. That's it.
Thriller, yeah.
And I think mine's slightly more fun to say. Also, it's awesome. I think we're going to have playground noise.
Yeah, we're going to have some.
That's all right. It's
fourth,
just
fifth, and sixth graders out there.
Nobody knows
that's
where
my
we
parents'
are, and
class.
there's no camera on.
Yeah.
Coming to you live from Central Park.
That'd be fun. In New York City.
Yeah, we flew all the way to New York City.
I cannot handle a horror movie either. But there's a couple reasons why. And I'm okay sometimes, like now at 40 watching them, but as a kid I could never handle it. I hate the fact that evil always wins. Always. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know it's a horror movie.
Yeah,
everybody dies or they sort of succeed. And then at the end, the thing, whatever it is, comes back. Or the beast or the demon. And it's just like, I don't need that in my head. Plus, nothing better than watching someone be tortured. Like in the Saw movies. It's just so dumb.
Oh, yeah, I don't like those kinds.
Right.
I just can't justify it.
I can't either. I cannot watch. Same reason I can't watch a rape scene. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I like movies and shows that are psychologically thrilling. Like if there is a scary aspect to a show, I like it a lot more because I just think it's cool being able to
define scary.
I just watched the show on Netflix, The Mist, and that was really
new one, old one.
The new one, the new show, not the old movie. That was just terrible.
That's where I was going with this.
Because there is a lot of gore and stuff in it, but at the same time, it just like gets in your head, and they're like all these people that they can't leave their homes, and you like go stir crazy with them. I thought it was really well done. And, those kinds of stuff I like, but when it's just watching someone just get torn up or something like that, that's not entertaining. There's nothing like artful or difficult to do with that.
Right.
That's just
there are people
mindless.
that would argue with us, but I totally agree.
Yeah, like, I don't think that's. I like shows that are really well made and like it was difficult to create these effects. Fear is a really interesting one to play with, but when it's just killing someone, that's
just dumb.
It's not worth it.
Well, I actually heard about a friend was telling me about how there's this Christian who makes horror films on purpose. Like his idea is that some people are so desensitized that possibly the only thing that's going to wake them up
sure.
is to just be so incredibly like like something that just hits you so hard that it makes you question and think. You know, and so I've heard that. I haven't seen any of this guy's movies, so maybe that's like, you know, I don't know how you do that.
I don't think I can.
I like horror movies, like just all over the place with literally everything you can think of that is just wrong with the world. And that's like the whole point of the movie. They're like, let's get a bunch of evil people together, scheme for a little bit, and then maniacally laugh at the end.
And then we'll blow them all
and then we'll just kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wins.
Yeah.
Like, let's create a character who's good that you think the entire time, maybe he'll make it out, and then at the end crush him.
Just because we can.
I love it when there's a character that you think is the victim or the hero, and by the end they turn out to be the biggest villain.
Yeah,
I love that, but I don't like it when it's just like out of nowhere. I like it when you can like kind of see it coming. Like you see him changing.
Footsteps.
You watch the progression.
Yeah, you can kind of like, and then at the end you're like, oh man, he did kill that lady at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like those. I would say is The Village, is that like, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so my top 3.
Yeah.
And I'm not recommending these to anybody necessarily because I haven't seen them in a long time.
Sure.
But my top 3, Shutter Island.
Okay, which I have to look up.
The Village.
Okay.
And Hush. Hush came out. It's about this deaf girl. She's trapped in a house, and this for I don't even remember why, but for some reason, some guy just comes and he's like, I'm going to kill this lady. And you're like, you hate that guy the entire movie.
Right.
Like, you hate him to death. And then the girl is victorious at the end.
Okay.
Then
she wins.
Girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. She like just does crazy stuff, gets on the roof, and you're like, how does she have this skill? I don't have the skill to open a jar of peanut butter.
Right, and like, you've got the ability to hear.
Amazing.
So you like it's amazing. You liked you like it when good wins.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where I'm at too.
I'm
like,
really happy I don't want to that's the way
you
life
like it
works.
When good movies.
No,
I like good movies.
I said good wins, not good movies. But he likes good movies too, I'm sure.
Oh, I understand. Oh, that's a bomb. Yeah, we're in an apocalypse bunker right now.
Yeah,
yep.
Totally.
Central Park.
It's okay.
It's Central Park.
It's Central Park in Milan.
Not in Central Park, below Central Park.
Below.
In a hidden bunker.
Bunker. Bomb just went off.
Luca, you had an idea for us to talk apologetics, my friend. You got to pose the question, though. We need a nice, clear question.
Yeah. Okay.
Fully understanding we're going to fully understanding we're going to rabbit trail, guys. So, and then this is all off the cuff on a Sunday morning at 10:27. So
apocalypse bunker.
Let's see what happens.
Central Park.
Can I just say too? You
can say two.
The beautiful thing. The beautiful thing about being being human, but being also following Jesus is we may not know. We may not know the answer, and we also may change our minds sometimes. So this is really a moment in time of Sam, Luca, and Josh, the Trace Blancos. Hit me with your question.
All right. Well, I think
Fire away.
I think we should just start off and let's just tell everybody like our perspective on apologetics and what we define it as, because they're all gonna have a little bit of different idea of what we're even talking about.
Yeah. Why don't you start?
Sure. Okay.
Apologetics, apology, kind of in the root word there. What does this mean?
Dude, I've actually never understood why it's called apologetics. So that was a terrible time to ask me that. But I can Google it while you're talking.
No.
Okay. I think what apologetics is, what I see it as, is we're making a logical, evidence-based case of why we believe what we believe. Not necessarily trying to prove God or trying to prove stuff, but like trying to like think critically about our theology, why we believe it, why we accept like the apostles and all that stuff, and not like Joseph Smith and Muhammad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think all of that is really critical to our understanding of God, really. I think that's today we have all these books in the Bible, and we're just like we don't really understand that somebody had to like people had to sit down and think like, okay, what books are we going to put in here?
It wasn't always that way.
Yeah, and I know that's not necessarily what you usually see of apologetics. Usually it's making a case, like an argument, but I kind of think of it in more broad term, just like us thinking that kind of way about Christianity and what we believe. But at the same time, I think when we try to convert people with apologetics, I don't think it's as effective as just living. But at the same time, I think you need like showing what you believe through your actions and making Christianity appealing. So even if it is true, why would you follow it if it's people are just a bunch of jerk faces?
Yeah,
but,
very true.
But I think you need both, because I think what happens is you convert because of the way people live, and then you realize there's no reason to believe what any of these people believe, and I think a lot of people leave the faith because of that. And then I think there's a fewer people, but still a lot of people that come to the conclusion God makes sense based off of what I've seen and all these things I've heard and these arguments, and then they think we're all hypocrites, and then they don't want to believe for that. So I think both are very important.
Totally.
But I don't place apologetics higher than as converting people, but I do think it's really essential for us to believe what we believe, to understand what we believe,
to know what we believe. Okay. Yeah. And why we believe it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Good. That covered a lot of ground.
Well, I had a lot.
Honestly, really.
I thought I thought
so
I had to be really clear about it.
Yeah, I think you were. Josh, how do you feel about?
I 100% agree with everything Lucas said. I honestly, I think he
ditto.
I think he was just really well spoken about that. One thing I would add to that is that I do think that it's more based on who you are and how you present it as far as a one-on-one basis. So apologetics is more beneficial in debate and in like an audience. Mm-hmm. So you present it to people. But as far as on a one-on-one basis, it's you living out your life, and you're adding to the fact that no, there's really credit behind this. But why does that credit matter to anybody? Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a change in this person. This person is not the same.
Right.
Now, not only is he different, but he's actually well informed. I'm really interested in what he has to say. He's not just some guy who woke up one day in a field and said, you know what, I think aliens took over, whatever. Mm-hmm. Some weird thing. Because, for instance, there's a really well-known apologist, not well known to me this morning because I can't remember his name. He was a converted Muslim, and so what happened was he went to, he actually just recently went on to be with God, but I think that was this year. I speak very old-fashioned.
That was so misleading.
Yeah, sorry. So he basically, when he was in college, he was a Muslim, and a Christian and him were in a debate team, and there was this group around them, and they all said, they won their debate, and they were like, "Hey, let's go get drinks and party," and him being Muslim and the other kid being Christian were like, "No, thanks. We're gonna hang back."
Yeah.
And so he actually asked his buddies, like, "So why do you believe in what you believe, your version of so-called Christianity?" And he said, "Well, I believe because of this, this, and this, fact after fact." And he said, "None of that's true."
Right.
And he said, basically, what we've been hearing a lot at church is come and see.
Yeah.
And then he looked up, and sure enough, every fact that he was given was true.
Yeah.
And now he's faced with a brick wall of being like, okay, like I can look over the brick wall or I can go back the other way. And he said, I'm going to keep searching, Yeah. And he found God that way. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you have to, if you're going to find God through apologetics, it's the same way you find him without apologetics, having an open and soft heart.
Mm-hmm. It's just seeking.
Yeah. He saw the change in that person.
Yes.
And then when presented with facts and evidence, then he had to change.
That helped, yeah.
If I could just insert the definition here.
Yeah.
Reasoned arguments or writings in justification of something. So it's defending a belief we already hold, but I kind of talked about it as also how we get to what we believe, reasoning what we should believe.
Yeah, it's the defense of why you believe what you believe, yes.
Yeah.
I think it comes from a Greek word, if I'm wrong, or is it?
I think it does.
Okay, because I think there was Socrates. I think Socrates did a lot of apologizing.
And Plato.
Plato and Socrates. So, Josh, let me clarify really quick. You made this. Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Just so that if anybody actually is interested. Yeah.
Yes.
His name is Nabil Quirishi?
Yeah, nailed it.
I don't know. Yeah.
Spell it.
I only know him as Nabil just because I actually found out about him through Ravi Zacharias, which was a huge deal for me. Ravi Zacharias, William Lane Craig, John Lennox, those guys. And then he kind of followed in, and I was like, oh, that's a great story. So I just kind of keep that one with me. But now I have a name, Nabil. So anyway, I look him up.
Spell it. N-A-B?
Yeah.
2 I's or just one?
N-A-B. I just used Google, actually. Just look up Muslim turned Christian apologist. It's a very rare thing.
Yeah.
So you'll find him. You'll find
only
him.
one link. Cool. Let me clarify. So now that you did that, that's good. Well, let me clarify with you, Josh, really quick. The statement was made that you kind of see apologetics as defining the internal experience or giving a reason to an encounter with God. I'm trying to stay away from Christian cliches here a little bit.
I thought that was really well said.
Is that how you see that the reasoning behind apologetics is to give an answer for what you've experienced or what you believe and why you believe it?
I think it's extremely, obviously it's biblical, but I think not just in terms that it's about the Bible. I think it's extremely biblical in the sense that always be ready to give an account for your faith. So obviously just having a bunch of facts and information is not going to be enough because
it even says in that verse to keep it concise.
Yeah.
You keep it short. You don't need to
true.
Write them out an essay.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my 10-point plan on how unless
of course they want that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna make the statement. Been around a couple of years longer than you guys. When I hear Christians talk about apologetics, it's literally a definition of why I'm right. This is why you are wrong. Actually, not even why I'm right. This is why you are wrong.
Yeah.
And so we take maybe faith a lot of times. We take faith, we take God, and we go, this is why you are wrong. Look at my Bible, and it says this. Look at this verse, and it says this. And a lot of times people who don't believe in God or even are educated in the Bible and maybe more educated than the Christians saying this is why you are wrong, will see that and go, you're believing in a fairy tale. You know, the context of that verse. I was just looking at a bunch of sermons that I downloaded, and I'm reading these guys' sermons, and I was trying to get some ideas for some things. Hashtag plagiarism. And and they took this verse completely out of context, and turned it into something. They took one verse and changed it into something completely opposite of what the context of the passage was in. So I think a lot of times people who were apologizing to, using their apologetics on, may be no more, and then they were like, you guys are ridiculous. That's a cultural understanding. It's not the original intent.
Right,
and so,
okay.
So I love both of your definitions, obviously, but I love the idea that apologetics helps us describe our encounters and experiences with God in a rational way. Or in
show why we're not
exactly.
just
Come
delusional.
Let us rationalize together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because almost every religion claims that you will see a change in your life. It'll be better, and so we're saying, well, not only is this going to change your life, but we have a really good reason to trust in what God is telling us. So it's not just a pointless hope.
Yeah. And even if you don't agree with the reason, then you should agree with the behavior because of the nature of who God is. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, so I want to live. This is terrible. Let me get a better one. I want to live like one of the tenets of the Bible and of faith in Jesus Christ is forgiveness. And we all know that a life of forgiveness, whether you believe in God or not, is a better way to live. Okay?
Absolutely.
So we would say, all right, sure, you don't believe in God, but if I'm talking with someone who doesn't agree that the Bible is a clustered up group of ancient letters that may not have been twisted as they've been translated, can we still just agree that forgiveness is a better way to live your life? And the answer is yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, or maybe the statement is, am I sacrificing the strong belief in Jesus Christ so that we can agree on forgiveness? Or should I be shouting at that guy and saying, you have to give your life to Christ before any of this matters? Is that a bad question? Is that a dumb question?
That's a great question.
Good question, yeah. I think it's kind of
shots
tough.
fired.
If I could give my answer to that really quickly. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think we're going to be very effective in converting people with apologetics. Yeah. I mean, I think we definitely we do. We totally do. But I think...
It happens, right?
Yeah, the way...
Josh's example, for
sure. I think the way that it's absolutely never going to work is when you come to people with the argument and they don't come to you asking about the argument.
I see.
And I think that's where we get a lot of it wrong, where we're just shouting at people, telling them, I believe, like, if someone comes to you and they're like, why are you forgiving people? You give them your rational reason. And you could say it says so in the Bible, and they say, okay, well, why do you trust the Bible? And then that's the route. If you don't go to somebody and say, I think we need to forgive, and I think because it says so in the Bible, and this is why the Bible's right, so you should listen to me.
Yeah, that's not helpful for anyone, really.
No,
because exchange the Bible for anything. I believe in the Quran. I believe in the Book of Mormon. I mean, it's like, okay.
And no matter how rational your argument is, they're not going to trust what you're saying. You're coming at them aggressively, and they're not going to listen unless they trust you. Yeah. So we're just pushing people away, yelling our arguments at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've,
and that's why that only works in debate, because the whole point is win the debate.
Yeah.
And so if people are already listening, you already have that open door, because they came to listen.
Totally, the
so
context is in debate.
The same thing,
yeah, totally.
They
I think
have to
you're
come to you, and so I do agree with that for sure. I think apologetics is kind of, in a sense, like biblical science per se, because like
theology.
Western thinking is the idea that God is a God of order, and so we can explain the universe because God put it in an order that's able to be explained.
Sure.
When
to the best of our abilities.
Yeah.
Anyways.
When an apple falls from a tree, we can understand
gravity,
why it falls. It's not like every once in a while that apple just floats away and we don't get it, And so
there's no order.
Newton was like, I really thought I had this down, and then just did
everything
total
changed.
Curveball. So I think it's the same thing for apologetics. In a sense, you could say, well, why is there a rainbow in the sky? Well, there's two ways to say why there's that rainbow in the sky. One way is to say that, well, God made a promise that he's not going to flood the earth again, and so when you look to that, that's the promise. You could also say, from another standpoint, well, when the sun comes out and the rain falls down, the light refracts off the raindrops, and because of the bend of them, you get a 40-degree angle, and all the colors disperse into a pattern. That's two ways to explain what is happening there.
Sure.
And so I think that's what apologetics is doing, is explaining the biblical side of this scientifically and rationally.
Yeah, and I think the days are over where those two things have to conflict.
Right.
Science and theology, or science and apologetics. When I was growing up, I'm 42 years old. When I was growing up, we as Christians were taught that science was almost a religion in and of itself, and it's opposite to faith. Mm-hmm. And you guys are growing up in a time where people don't believe that, generally speaking.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Just the idea of evolution and how, these scientists were coming up with these ideas, and evolution was it was a system of beliefs that was opposite to Christianity, and you're not living in those times, Right. And I don't know what, again, I don't know where to fall on evolution. I wasn't there, right? So I'm just using that as an example. And again, this is just us talking right now on Sunday morning. I want everybody out there listening, all 4 of you, that to know that we're just talking through this stuff. This is not where we live, right? We're just talking through it right now, and it's okay to do that.
Yeah. Well, I just to add to that.
Do it.
If I could give a different example of the same thing that I said, in case there's somebody who randomly finds this and has listened this far and they go, wow, he explained the Bible. I want to give that same analogy.
Can you make that voice again?
Wow. He just explained the Bible. Wow. Okay, anyway. So a really good analogy or visual for it is boiling water, and the question is posed, why is the water boiling? Well, there's two responses to that. Okay. One is, well, when you heat up water, the molecules in the water start to get hot, and so they're moving around really quickly, and when it reaches 212 degrees Fahrenheit, then it bubbles and you have a boil.
And you make coffee with it.
It's scientific, but then the other response
Convection
to that
current.
is, well, that's a great answer, but he just asked, why is the water boiling? It's boiling because I'm going to make tea.
Right.
They're both the correct answer.
Sure.
But they're two completely different answers.
Yeah, for sure. And both right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, that's the famous.
I like that.
That is so deep.
That makes sense.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. So you're coming from two different angles at the same question.
Yeah.
And so, it goes back to the fact that we believe God to be a God of order and what he says is true. And the other thing that I would add to that, since now I'm on this rabbit trail, and I apologize, I'm starting to talk a lot. I'm going to stop in a second here.
You're doing fine.
But
it's okay.
When people, they'll say to you, they'll be like, well, the Bible's been passed down from generation to generation. You have the game of telephone going on. Yeah. And by now, the Bible's tradition. Totally something else than it used to be. But I think there's a lot of good principle in there. So I understand why some people follow it. And it's like, well, here's my problem with that. You're making my God to be a real dimwit. Like, he just kind of floats around. He's like, let's see where this goes. Well, I'm really interested to see what they come up with.
I'll roll the ball, and they can take it from here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, do you really think that God, our God, the Bible, who created the entire universe, just stumbled around? And no, he totally had control of that. He handpicked everybody who chose the canon, and that's why apologetics to me is another important reason that Luca brought up, which is the fact that these people had to put together which books were going to go in there.
Sure.
What is the actual canon? Why don't we have the Apocrypha? Why don't we have anyway, the book of Jasher? Things like that.
Yes.
It's extremely important to realize that God knew what he was doing, and now we're going to defend the fact that he did know what he was doing, and that it is the actual original text. We find archaeological evidence such as the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Sure.
It proved that the book of Isaiah is exactly the same 1,000 years later as it was found in that cave. Things like that.
Yep.
So anyway,
we could just go back to your tea analogy really quick. I just want to make sure everybody understands what you're saying. Sure. I think what you're saying is a scientist will look at it and say, okay, well, it can't be God because it's because of particles. And we'll say, God made this happen. And they're both correct. It's just not looking at the other side being also correct, because they're both the answer to the question. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're both both an answer to the question that are both correct, but they're two completely different answers.
And you can say
one is answering the why it's boiling in the sense of the purpose of it. The other one is answering the why is it boiling in the scientific
and then they'll both think that they have. We'll both think we have the whole answer too. We'll say the other person's wrong sometimes because they come up with the same answer.
Yes, look at that.
It's the classic theologians on top of the mountain thing. All the scientists are scaling the mountain for years and years and years to find that a bunch of theologians are sitting at the top saying, oh, what took you so long?
It's such an arrogant statement. Right. I feel like we're just going to make people angry.
Yeah, it is. And it's true.
He's like, it's arrogant and it's true. Just stop there. Don't say anything else. I know where you're going. Don't ruin it.
I think, too, we like to say science, mathematics, things we can prove are the only things that are real and true. And I don't believe that either, because that dismisses so much of what it is to experience humanity. It dismisses emotions like love and hope and things that drive us. Those are real too. And so I think when you say apologetics, a lot of times, and I think all three of us agree, that it can be isolated and cold, and it's never beneficial at that stage. I think it's better, just like we all confirmed and agreed, to describe an experience we're having that combines the entire human experience, which is emotions and reason. You know, we're not Spocks, and I think that's... I got a lot of baggage left over from growing up, man. But, you know, that's kind of what everybody was supposed to be. If you were an effective Christian, you didn't sin, and you knew why you didn't every single time. Does that make sense? Like, you just reasoned your way out of it, right? So, right. I'm not sinning here because I've given all my temptations to Jesus. And you know, Matthew 6 says this. It's like, don't want to be that guy, you know. And, enough about me.
Well, for our last few minutes, we could, I don't know, what should we talk about? We could talk about if we think we need more or less of this.
Oh,
what do we think? Because I think there's a lot of people in the church that do not like apologetics whatsoever. And I think there's a lot of people that are like super for it.
Yes. I get that pressure. Being the youth pastor, I get that pressure all the time. Our kids don't know the Bible because you're not teaching the Bible. I get that all the time. Kids don't know why they believe what they believe because you're not teaching it.
Right.
Like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that too often there's two split sides on this rather than one middle ground, which I think is the obvious route of study it. I think everyone should. I don't think obviously you don't have to, because it's not going to be the thing that gets you saved necessarily. It's more that as a route to possibly get you to that point.
Yeah.
These are tools to help build your faith if you already are a Christian.
Yeah.
They're tools to help you get somebody on the track where they start questioning this. Yeah. I mean, there's a movie that just came out on Netflix. I'm waiting to watch it. It's a true story. It's called The Case for Christ.
Oh, sure.
And it's
Lee Strobel, that book, Case for Christ. Yep.
Yeah. Wife gets saved, then he thinks she's a total nut, so he'd start doing real research.
Yeah.
What is that guy that he actually was? We could talk about that later. But the point is, they're avenues for meeting Jesus.
Yes. One of many.
One of many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can meet Jesus in a rainbow. You can meet Jesus in a science lab.
I'd love to meet Jesus on a rainbow.
Yeah. Right? You could, that's the nature of God, is that we encounter him sometimes in the places we least expect it, like a horror movie. That's why that dude.
True.
I mean, good example. Did we talk about that on the podcast? We did.
A little bit.
It wasn't before, right? So
everybody
knows what I'm talking about. They're like, what?
Before we started this.
Guy's lost his mind.
I think that's a great point, that you can find Jesus in anything. I don't think we should push one route, I suppose, more than the other. But I think it's really important to have all of them, because I was one of those people that there came a time in my life where I decided I want to take Jesus more seriously, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then so I started serving. I started trying to believe his word and live out what it says. And then there was a lot of times when I just realized, like, wait a minute, where did this even come from?
Yeah.
Right. And I needed that kind of logical approach to it to understand, to have faith, to know that I wasn't just believing in a lunatic.
Yes.
And I think we do a lot of good in church to talk about this stuff more, and I think that do a lot to help the world see that we're not a bunch of lunatics. 'Cause I think a lot of Christians don't have any idea why we believe what we believe.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it would do a lot of good for us to at least know, maybe not shove it down people's throats, but for us to know.
Just for
when
us,
people ask, and so they see that we're not just irrational, crazy people that hate witches.
So you're
really good at bringing it around circles.
So yeah, there we go.
That was good.
So your premise, Luca, is that apologetics create a depth of faith.
Yeah, and I think it's just as much for us as it is for helping other people see why we believe what we believe.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
Agree. I mean, I think of Matthew 6:44.
Wait, let me say it one more time. Hold on. No. You just say it. Don't lose that thought because it's good. What I'm saying, though, is for you, apologetics personally created a depth of faith in you that wasn't there before. So you how did we get this? And then you discovered how we got that.
Right.
And then for you, okay, wait a minute. This God thing is bigger than I thought it was. That's what you're saying, right?
Right, because there came a point when I was just I'm never going to believe the New Testament unless I know where it comes from.
Right.
Because then why would I believe it over any other religion?
Right.
So I had to see why.
Yeah.
And I think I really do believe that there's the most reason to believe it. And that's a lot of why I still do believe.
Yeah. And okay, cool. I love it. Yeah, I remember those conversations between you and I. Now, Josh, I totally screwed up. Say what you were going to say because it's important. Matthew 6.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, Matthew 6:44 is a huge verse I carry with me. And the reason I carry it with me is because it says basically that no one can come to the Father no one can come to Jesus unless the Father draws them to him. Basically, this is the statement of total depravity. You are unwilling and unable to come to God, and as a result, only he can call you to him.
Yeah.
You can only love him because he first loved you. So the point that I just wanted to add to it is the fact that you came to faith because God called you.
God drew you in.
Yeah, not because the argument, no matter what you do. All I'm saying is that this is an avenue, and you are unable to even understand that avenue. So if you were somebody who even heard any of this, and you felt like that draw to maybe search out apologetics or something else, that could be an avenue that God is using to reveal himself to you, meaning that he's calling you. If you're not feeling that, even if you see all the evidence in the world, you're not going to get it. Does that make sense?
It does. It's a heavy statement, but it does.
Yeah.
You're showing your Calvinistic.
I am super Calvinist, by the way. My sister's not.
I think
she's more. Well, everybody's a little bit Calvinist, but I think she falls more Arminian.
Yeah,
I agree with you saying that God drew me down that route.
Yes,
I do believe that. I don't think that I would have seen it unless God guided me that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have another podcast about this total depravity thing. No, don't. I want to have another podcast about this total depravity thing because I encountered an amazing conversation this last week against the idea of total depravity and the damage that the idea brings, and maybe it describes a lot of why we are where we are as a group of Christians in America. So I'm going to see if I can find something, dig something up, and we can talk about that. If you don't know what total depravity is, don't worry about it. But Josh did a great description of what it is. But maybe we'll talk about it in another podcast. That'd be fun.
I'm super excited about that because I struggle with that. I do.
with
total depravity.
Total depravity, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Yeah.
I'll do a little research.
Yeah, beauty. Okay. You guys are awesome. And
it's about time.
It's about time. This is Trace Blancos, 3 white dudes.
Yep.
Signing off.
You think? Hey, Luca?
Give Apologetics some more love. They're worth it.
Can you wrap us out?
Promise you. Yeah.
Lucas,
do we rap? Oh. Yeah. Trace Blancos. Riding 3 Doncos.